What's up, you filthy flapjacks? I'm Wes Mullenberg, and you're listening to the Ear Coffee Podcast. In today's spectacular new episode, I talked with Bugsy. The quartet just released their phenomenal new EP, Teratoma, last week. In our wide-ranging interview, we talk about the band's evolution, the 5 songs on Teratoma, and lots of animals. Here's my interview with Emily, Shannon, Griffin, and Alex of Bugsy on the Ear Coffee Podcast. Welcome to the latest episode of the Ear Coffee Podcast. Today I am joined by all 4 members of Bugsy. How are you doing this morning?
Good. Sick.
I'm asking like that, like we haven't been talking for the last 20 minutes, but it's a good introduction. For starters, let's go around the semicircle, starting with you, Alex. And I already said your name, but what's your name and what is your role in the band?
I'm Alex. I play the drums. Yeah.
I'm Shannon, and I play bass.
And
I do backup harmonies and vocals.
I'm Emily. I play guitar and I sing.
I'm Griffin. I just play the guitar.
Just play the guitar. Okay. I always like finding out about people's first connections with music. Usually, as musicians, eventually, there's some unique connection. Often just pretty low key in the moment. But how did each of you first kind of really form a connection with music, either as the first time you remember listening and hearing something, and as eventual people that would play instruments and play shows and write songs and so on?
Semi-circle.
Well, I was actually I texted this to Emily the other day, but when I was 5, I heard Crazy Train on the radio, and I thought that was the craziest thing ever. I thought Ozzy was so cool. And yeah. Yo, I just saw a video of him at the Gram. I'm not gonna get into Ozzy right now, but he just didn't look okay. Anyway, yeah, I thought Ozzy was super cool when I was 5, and that's when I was yeah, music is real. Music is really
first
real.
Concrete memory, music is real.
It is a thing. It does exist. Yeah.
For me, I think it was my dad was always really into music, and my mom majored in performing arts in college. So both of them were we want our kids to play music. And so then I started playing piano. And then I realized I didn't want to play piano.
A classic.
And then I wanted to play guitar. But my parents were if you want to play guitar, you have to keep playing piano. So I picked up guitar and bass just to kind of spite them. I mean, they were you should do it. But they were if you're going to learn guitar, you should keep doing piano because they are both music.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of always had it, but then I realized I really wanted to pursue it when I was probably 15, because I was in a high school punk band. And we were really, it was just my friends and I were let's do this. But then I was this is actually really fun. So I'm going to keep doing it. And here we are.
Here we are.
I heard my dad really likes music, and my dad was playing the Ramones, or the Ramones were on the radio or something, and I really liked Joey Ramone's voice, and I was I like this person's voice, and that I don't really know. That's not really a story. But I don't know.
When did you first start playing guitar or writing songs?
Well, I had a guitar when I was 10 or something, because my parents really were pro kids should have hobbies. You can't just sit around and watch TV all day. So I tried some sports and I hated it, and then they're let's try guitar, and I hated it because I wasn't very good at it, but I liked singing, but I couldn't figure out how to sing without clicking my teeth I did it. But I was having a lot of fun, but I never really played guitar because I was this is stressful and I'm bad, and people would always tell me I was good at singing but not good at guitar. Then when I was in high school, I was in a band, and I had to play guitar because we were a 3-piece and I was the guitar player. And that's when I actually started playing guitar, and that's when I actually got a nicer guitar, and then yeah.
Do you guys ever play Rock Band?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. When I was little, I played Rock Band, and there was a dude wearing a striped sweater with bangs in front of his eyes. And I was like, I want to be that guy.
It's a direct one-to-one recreation.
Pretty much.
I've seen Griffin look exactly like that.
Yeah, so, yeah, and I think probably in terms of just, like, music that I liked, I mean, everybody likes music. I mean, I've always, you know, I think there's no, like, period where I was just like, music, you know, it's like...
It's like when you're a kid. Like
Yeah.
you don't like perceive it for like the first couple years, and then you
Right.
hear Crazy Train on the radio.
Well, but, and, you know, I was going to say for me, I think, like, rock music specifically, you know, stuff that makes you want to, like, play the guitar. Like, I just really liked Nirvana when I was little. And I met a really cool guitar teacher who also really liked Nirvana, and that was just my thing. But another thing that's really interesting, and I think I was talking about this with Alex last night, actually, is it's, like, a lot of, like, kids in, like, bands or, like, people in bands, like, around these days, like, went to like School of Rock or like the Twin Town guitar camps or like She-Rock or like had some kind of thing in their school that they were doing. And it's really interesting, you know, I think a lot of the people who are in bands these days were kind of like unofficially like trained to do band
be in a
stuff,
band, yeah.
you know, by like these weird one-off kind of like, I mean, not weird, they're great, they're wonderful. But you know, it's not like an official, like, it's not like going to like school, but you know, like they
it's
teach
not like
you.
going to McNally.
No, but they,
It's like, thank you, Minneapolis Public Schools.
but you know, they teach you how to rock, you know, and like we're all out here doing it. and
Encourage you to do that.
I think it's really interesting how those kinds of like infrastructures have kind of been like set in place for like people to have that outlet.
There's so many options.
It's like a really recent thing too, you know. Like I remember, like it was like really big in my school. Like there's like a guitar program in like my high school and my middle school now that was like just coming along when I was growing up, and it's like it's a new thing, and yeah, it's been churning out a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. Very direct correlation with like Camp Rock and She-Rock. A lot of people have come.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of people that are big fans on the show. At the risk of getting too much into guinea pig related lore again,
Oh, boy.
talk about how the band got together, because I've been playing music for quite some time, but we could maybe even go back to a little bit further in the history if this is how it is with Sharon as Karen, because that was Emily's old project, correct?
I mean, it's kind of the same project, not really. I just
Well,
changed
it's all like the same
name.
Bandcamp page, which was like kind of frustrating. Not gonna lie, like I think I know which ones are Bugsy. Like what's what.
Well, it's all like my music and the songs
Exactly.
that I write. So
Yeah.
it was like, well, I
There's a through line.
could start a new Bandcamp page, but then I don't want to move all these songs, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, the only song that was officially recorded as Sharon is Karen was Health Fair, which I think I took down.
Nope.
So,
I listened to it this morning.
whoops.
It's a good song.
But-
Really good song.
Yeah.
Me and Alex were in a band that played one show called The Zoo.
I went to that show, by the way.
Alex
Amazing.
and
I
have
wasn't in the
been-
band when I was there.
You were just there.
Alex and I played music together, on and off for like a long time. So, he drummed in Sharon is Karen, and then
Factual.
some things happened, and then I was in school, and Sharon is Karen was kind of dead, and then Griffin and I were in science class together,
Yeah,
and we were lab partners, and we raised a lovely family of worms together.
they were very
And
healthy.
I was like,
There's the
man, I
worms.
just really want to play music again. And I'm so sad because I felt like every like outlet that I had to play music was just like kind of falling apart. And I was
And,
like,
Well, I was kind of in the exact same place too, so it was sort of like.
and yeah. Then I was like, let's rock. And
Yeah.
Griffin was, and I was really really nervous to ask him. And then
There was like a good like couple months where like, you know, we really did just talk about guinea pigs and worms and eels and all that, you know.
All the pets.
It was a really intense biology class, and we're both like really into that. It was ecology mainly,
Yeah.
which is the really interesting stuff,
stuff.
you know. But
That's the bio side.
yeah.
But at the same
Psych
time, so I was like, I've been trying different band members because it was like, it's kind of like, you know, just talking to people and just seeing what works. And like, I think Shannon like responded to like something I posted on Facebook.
Yeah, so Emily was in another band that I loved.
Oh,
And I worked with a member of another band, and that's how I kind of like knew Emily. And then Emily made a post, and I was also in a boat where like I had another musical project that I really cared about, but it was kind of like going because everyone is like really busy and things, and I didn't really have a musical outlet. And then Emily made a post that was like, I need a bassist, and I was really scared of Emily, but I was like, Shannon, your therapist told you that you have to take risks. You have to take a risk every day. Is this a risk you want to take today? And I said yes. So I was like, I'm interested. And then
Our first practice was also kind of a disaster because it was like
it was so sweet.
Someone I used to play music with was like, we scrap that. Starting the story again. Someone agreed to give me a ride to the practice space because I don't have a car, and I also didn't have an amp, and I also don't think I had like a real good guitar. So it was like I was kind of like, please give me a ride, and it was like a whole thing, and then like it was like 4. We were supposed to meet at 4 p.m. and he just like texted me at 4:30 and was like, sorry, I was asleep. And I was so sad and so mad. And then I wrote Moody Knows Best before Shannon came over, and Shannon's like, I'm here. And I was crying when I answered the door, and I'd never really talked to Shannon or met Shannon before. And I was just like, opened the door, and I was like, I'm sorry, I just kind of had a breakdown. Here's a song. Yeah. And Shannon was just like,
and that's
and like we didn't have a bass amp. I was playing on like my acoustic guitar, and like I was like so mad. I was like, I don't think she'll ever want to talk to me again.
No, Emily was
and
like,
then we practiced again a week later, and Shannon brought a little tiny like battery powered amp at that time that kept breaking up.
Yeah,
just
a pack of
I
double
don't really
A's
know
too.
what
Yeah.
you sound like as a
Honeytone.
bass player, but
I know. Emily was like, I promise I'm not usually like this. And I was like, I know, I can tell. It's okay.
yeah.
And then we were looking for a drummer for a long time because the three of us were practicing like for a couple of months. Like we had pretty much the whole set. And then I randomly messaged Alex, and Alex was like, life is crazy, dude. Yeah. And he's like, he lives in Chicago, so he's like, I'll be back this date. And I was like, can you play this show? And he's like, yeah. And then he
Like
came
for
back
school?
and we practiced, and we were all like, solid.
Seems pretty legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
like
With, I guess now, especially taking your Chicago, was that just during like the school year in quotes? Like,
yeah. So
Okay.
like, yeah, it was probably around like April or so, like late April, just like a random Friday. I think it was right before like Easter or something. Not like that really matters, but Emily just sent me a
Lord has
text.
risen, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose. Anyway, like, but Emily was just like, yo, do you want to play drums in a rock band? And I was like, yo, that would be pretty fun. And then, I mean, there's really nothing else to the story. I was just hanging out in Chicago, and then I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to play music in like a couple weeks with Emily and company.
Yeah.
And then,
We are company.
Yeah.
at the time I also just like didn't know Griffin or Shannon, like, so that was like a little spooky, but I was like, a friend of Emily is a friend of mine.
Well, you know what? I will say, like, we were like pretty much for the first like year that we were like a band, we were like dormant, you know.
We haven't even been a band for a year.
We
Yeah.
have been a band for a year.
Yeah, we started practicing in February.
We've been a band for like a year and a half.
Okay,
now.
that was gonna be one of my next questions.
Oh.
'Cause,
I
like,
found because we do a lot of like, speaking of like our first, when you're talking about like how we met each other, like I took a voice recording on my phone of like the first time that Emily and I practiced together, and it was on February 7th, 2019.
no
that
way.
wow,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
That's-
and it was Moody Knows Best.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
that's so great.
Life
Yeah.
Yeah.
is crazy.
For
Yeah.
context, yesterday it was February 7th, and that was the
our
EP release.
Yeah.
And that's
That's crazy.
That's kind of wholesome.
well, and the first
Yeah.
single from that EP is Moody Knows Best,
Yeah.
which was written about exactly a year ago.
Wow.
Got the backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I don't think I
I'm
did.
sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't remember.
Yo, I didn't know any of this, so this is really cool.
Yeah, but so I think, and then, but it was also like a few weeks of like Emily was kind of, I mean, it's Emily's music, and you need to have people that you trust and like can like really work together with. And so there were a few weeks of like I was meeting with Emily, but then I think Griffin was also playing bass very briefly with Emily.
Oh yeah, we didn't really know.
I didn't know who was gonna do what, and there was a total of probably 7 people that I was playing with total.
It was
There
definitely.
was a time where it was just people buzzing around, and I was like, what works, what doesn't work.
It was definitely a situation of just like, this is what I can do. I just want to be a part of this. It's cool. You just put me where you need to.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. How long were you practicing before you started playing shows? Just a couple months?
The 3 of us had been practicing for like 2 months, and then like there was like a week or 2 with Alex.
Yeah.
And we had a first show that was booked, and it was supposed to be in June, and then someone asked us last minute to play a show, and it was like with Milo and 2 touring bands at our house.
It was.
And we were like, you know what? We're probably ready. So we
It was
DIY.
It was Winnebago Vacation and Teenage Halloween with Milo, and they're both awesome.
And the cops got called.
Love that.
But the show persisted though.
Oh, that's rare.
They were just like, make sure you're done by 10, and then they left.
Yeah, no, it was fine. I was also gonna say, we did actually. I do remember, like right before that show, like the first day Alex came in, and like we didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't know what
did
was
we
gonna
rehearse
happen.
when I was back for Easter?
Yeah.
Probably.
We
Yeah.
all, like, I remember
Time.
when he started playing drums, we all were like,
Oh.
And Alex walked in, he goes, hold on, and he opens up his backpack, and he just has a notebook with all the song names, and some of them weren't even real names, they were just like, I named my voice memo app this thing, so it was like,
He was
he's
ready.
like, is this one? And then he'd start playing it, and I'd be
And
like,
it was just great.
No, because the 3 of us had just been practicing with like just like guitars, and like Emily and I did a show in Mankato where it was just the 2 of us. And then I like had like a small breakdown right before because a microphone stand slammed on my finger, and it was like it was a thing. But then I was like, so we were used to like playing like all of our songs very like just like very like do 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 do, you know. And then Alex came in and it was like da 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 da, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I did not gonna lie. I did not expect like there to be that much like energy in the sound, and like so much drum and just everything before, because I saw you play live before Moody Knows Best had come out, and like there was just like the Bandcamp demos or whatever, which are not reflective of the full band sound. And I was like, oh, Bugsy goes hard. Okay, cool. Were all of the songs that now are on the EP, because I think only Moody Knows Best is elsewhere online, just as like a demo, unless like song titles have changed. But
there's some, I don't really know what I'm
there's
there's
like 30 songs. We don't need to get into that. But were they all written kind of just before Bugsy was even a thing? Or I mean, Moody Knows Best was written pretty much right as Bugsy became a thing.
I mean, we recorded the EP in like July or June, I think.
Okay.
But like most of the songs were written around last winter. Like for sure 3 of them, because I was really angry about a situation, so I wrote a bunch of songs about it. Hard to Breathe was written like 2 years ago, and it's been a song that has been
That's like the oldest.
that's the only song that we play that's still like a quote unquote like Sharon is Karen song that we used to play. So Alex actually played on that before.
Oh, full circle. Nice.
And there's like, that one is funny because it was like when I was recording it, I was like, I have recorded this song 4 different times. Like, if this is not the one that we like release, I'm gonna be so mad, and it's just fucking dead. I'm sorry, I swore.
It's okay.
But it was like, old band recorded it. I recorded a demo of it with Devin from Harbor's Jar, and that demo, the tape got destroyed, so it was just gone. And then finally, and then there's like a Bandcamp like garage band thing that is just like that I make when I'm writing songs, and then the one that we released, which is like, okay, good,
We're here.
it's done. Now I can move on.
Yeah. These 5 songs obviously have like a great deal of unity, just in terms of like lyrical tone, everything. But why did you pick these specific 5, especially if they've been written, I mean, mostly with the exception of Hard to Breathe, like kind of in the same time span, and they're just kind of like just depicting like the same emotional situation?
I mean, I feel like music is generally just like all music is like a timepiece kind of in a way. of where
like
you
an
are at
Amber,
the time
yeah.
you wrote the song.
I
So the-
really agree with that statement.
So the EP is just kind of like a bookmark in time of kind of like where I was winter of last year, with like the exception of one song, and it was like there's kind of like there's like some songs that are like, yeah, I mean that's just kind of I feel like there's no like intention of making one kind of theme. It's just like the nature of that kind of thing. I feel like.
I think I like to think of it as just like, you know, because a lot of songs were actually written during that time period. This is just kind of like the 5 best of like that batch.
Yeah. Because like obviously you played more than 5 songs. Like that show, that says, yeah.
I like to think about it like the EP. I don't know. I talked to Emily about this, but like the EP shows a lot of growth, in my opinion, as like us as like a unit, but then also just like Emily in general. And just like, I think the EP kind of reflects that growth really well, and seeing how we are now, even when we wrote the EP or like when we like recorded the songs, I like, you can like feel the growth. I don't know, maybe it's just a me thing, but I like can really, I feel like there's a really, like, I feel like unity is a really good word. And I think calling it like a timepiece is a really good way to put it, because it reflects and it shows a lot of growth. Interpersonal growth and also just personal growth.
Well, and you know, that's all kind of like tied into like what the newer songs are sounding like, and what they're going to sound like when other people start to hear them once they're recorded, because everything on the EP is about a year old now, and we have new stuff. So
And then too, like all the songs that we played a year ago that were not on the EP, we don't really play anymore, with like the exception of one of the songs.
Yeah.
Because it's like they just weren't. They didn't make the cut. Like,
I mean, I still like them a lot.
Yeah.
I love,
Yeah.
Are they songs that would come back in any recorded
I mean,
capacity?
it's up to the
You don't
there's
really
a couple
know.
of them that are like
yeah.
demos online somewhere. There's like I did demos of like Teeth and Nice Guy. We don't play Teeth ever, but we played Nice Guy last night.
Nice Guy all the
And
time.
like demo, some capacity, like they're recorded in some capacity already, and I feel like it's kind of like, why would I go back and record something when I'm doing like that's kind of old,
rather
when I'm
move
doing
forward.
new things, and it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, if something's really good and it like holds true to time, then I would record it. But it's like if I feel like it's already out and done, and I'm done with it, then I just don't want anything to do with it anymore.
Yeah, I understand that. Before we even get even more into the EP, with newer stuff that has been put together since you've actually been a unit, instead of just like it's clearly your project, Emily, but now that you've been writing and working together as a quartet for almost exactly or just over a year now, does the new stuff, or is that something you're trying to reflect more deliberately going forward, with any like new songs, new stuff you're working on?
Wait, sorry, what? I got confused. I'm so sorry.
Since like the new stuff has been written since you've been a full band, does it reflect that more, and like it sounds more like it was written as a unit instead of just yours? It's still yours. They're still your songs, but instead they're more unified. I guess even more unified than just.
I don't know. I think it was like the first couple songs. It was more so I would show, like depending on the song, like especially show Shannon exactly what to play, and then the newer songs, it's been more like just kind of, here's a song I wrote, I'm gonna play it for you guys, or send you a demo. Like the GarageBand demos I do are usually the ones I send to the band group, and I'm like, listen to this, and then we'll come to practice, figure something out.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel
that's
like
kind of That's I phrased that weirdly. I think that's what I was trying to ask.
No, but like to that though, like when I like first like started playing with like all these folks when I got back, like I just met them, so I just was like really awkward and like didn't know what to say. So like to that, like we've played together for like a hot second now, so like I mean like personally and musically, I feel like we're just like getting more comfortable, and I feel like that is like definitely like reflected. Like I feel like just like the pieces are starting to fit like more.
It's much more natural.
Finally, yeah.
Well, and also for the whole quartet thing.
Finally.
I've been in a lot of bands, and I think it's really important, like, if, like, this is the way that people have decided to operate, like Emily writes all the songs, you know, and, like, when it's, like, said and done, and we have our own parts, you know, like, it's good that, like, follow what like Emily's sort of thinking. I really personally think it's good for bands to have centralized vision a little bit more. I mean, you know, it can go either way, but I like that for our band. I do write all my own guitar parts, you know, but like I've always said, you know, if there was ever a time when Emily had something she wanted me to play, that she should just tell me to do it that way, you know, because like that's
like a captain of the ship type of deal.
And I think that's really important, and she does a really good job doing it.
Yeah.
That's how the old songs were. I think that's how the new songs are too. The only difference is we just know each other so much better, and there's like a little bit more of a relationship of us knowing what each other want, you know?
A bit more natural.
Well, I think this band period has taught me more, at least musically, how to be assertive more. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but I was in bands, a lot of bands, and like very much like felt like just, I kind of have to just go with the flow, and I can't necessarily say my opinion. And then like a band too, where like, you know, like the other one of the other members is like, you should write a song like this, or you should do this in your song, or you should change this in your song, which is like cool. Some bands work like that, and that is totally fine. But it was just like, I'd be like, I'm so sad, or like, you should write a different chorus for it. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah,
I physically can't.
I think it's.
I don't know.
So it was. This taught me like, well, this is like, you know, like, I'm not gonna hurt someone's feelings by saying, thank you for idea, but.
No.
I kind of like the chorus I wrote.
Yeah.
If the song sucks and we all hate it, we're gonna scrap it. But like,
well, I think it's really important to like have a good idea of like where the levels of control are, you know, and like how you work with those, and like also just like to communicate and have good relationships with each other. Like I you know, I feel like we all feel this way, but like I just have a lot of fun, like when you know, like, and I feel like I know how everybody feels when we're practicing, and like it's easy to openly talk about things.
Blink twice if you're being held hostage. No.
That was 3 times.
Yeah,
so I don't know what that means.
I don't know. You're fine. This sounds almost too good to be true. No. Okay, going into the EP a little bit more now. Up until like a week ago, it was going to be called Empathy, and now it's named after a type of tumor.
Surprise!
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Reading this text, I was in class, I think, and Emily just texted, and she's like, "Would you be mad at me if I changed the name of the EP?" And I was like, Emily, what? I mean, you can do whatever you think is best, but like, what is it? And then she was like, teratoma, and I was like, whoa, that is so
well, then I sent everyone
cool.
a picture of a teratoma, and
Griffin was like, what? Griffin was telling me how freaked out about he was the other day, and I was like, yeah.
Well, just because teratomas are freaky.
Yeah.
I will say, teratoma is the coolest name that was ever thrown around.
Yeah, I thought it was with 2 R's. It was like with like something to do with Earth. I was like, oh, that's like elemental. Yeah, and then I'm like, oh no, it's like.
Tumor.
Like it's like a weird like hair tumor or something.
Yeah, because the story is my dad really wanted to like know about the EP, and I showed him the cover, and he goes, kind of reminds me of a teratoma. And I was like, that's actually really good, because the EP has like, I had like, last winter, like around the time I wrote all the songs, I used to have like white blonde hair. And I just one night was like, I'm gonna cut it all off, and I cut it all off, and I put it in a bag, and I'm like, I'm gonna use this later. Then I found a jar of my old teeth, and I put them all on a piece of paper and took a picture of it. And a teratoma is a tumor that has hair and teeth in it, and it's kind of harmless. And that's how I feel sometimes.
Yeah.
Centralized vision, you know.
Centralized vision.
Yeah. When I heard that that's what was going on, I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah. And like, hold on. Even if you don't know what a teratoma is, that is just such a cool word.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like, whoa. Like,
yeah.
When, you know, speaking of like the band's inception and things like that, we're about the education, science, you know,
a bunch of some
it's
biology.
Also funny because it's like we're kind of an indie band, but then I said the word said the EP was called Teratoma to one of my coworkers, and he goes, "Sick, are you guys like a metal band?"
It does kind of have like some like sludge metal
some
energy.
metal.
Yeah.
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 I don't think I've ever imagined us playing sludge.
Yeah, I don't know who would growl. That'd be.
I can see Alex playing some sludge metal.
Do sludge metal dudes like us? Honestly, they do.
I mean, last night, Banana Guy.
Banana
We love
Guy.
Banana Guy.
Okay, a brief side note. What was happening? I was
made me-
so terrified and
Some person
confused.
was like, my Uber driver gave me 10 bananas and I ate them all. And then he started throwing the banana peels around in the crowd and I got banana on my face and I was like,
oh.
I was like, you're having a good time, but at the same time, like, please be careful.
please stay
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah.
Because there was this, like,
He slipped on his own banana peel. I felt so bad.
because we also, like, Emily hired this very kind person named Slow to, like,
Yeah,
take
we love
a
Slow.
video of our show, and, like, they're so little. And like, these big people were, like, behind them, and, like, my girlfriend was right next to them, and she was just, like, Taylor was, like, a foot taller than them, and was just, like, behind them, like, protecting them the entire time. And we were looking at the video this morning, and there's clips of, like, as Slow as, like was like pushed forward by like the banana guy and had like their hand in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And I was like right in front of them the entire time, watching it go down the entire time, and I was just like I wasn't expecting this at all. Like,
that was like the most nervous I've been about a mosh pit.
Yeah.
There was like some like the person with like a mohawk that kept like screaming, and then there was someone who looked like the frontman of Atmosphere, who's like a 50-year-old man. And he was in like he had like a soul patch, it looked like, and he was in like a full fur jacket or something,
Wow.
like fur rim jacket.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I
I was like
love
standing
that.
at the back. I'm like, I'm so scared. Like, is everyone okay?
But, you know, this is kind of something that I wanted to say at the show, but it's just kind of like, I really do appreciate everybody's enthusiasm. I feel like we all do. It's
Yeah.
really nice when people are going hard at your set. It's fun. It makes you feel like you're doing something really cool. And like that energy is good, but like we want people to be safe.
Yeah.
And like banana peel guy.
Banana peel guy, if you're out there.
I really
If you're
appreciate
listening.
I appreciate your enthusiasm, but you know, people get hurt.
Leave the bananas outside.
It's like
or
we like to
something.
go hard, but like we gotta
Cigs
take.
outside, bananas outside.
Yeah.
I had like banana on my set list afterwards, and my banana.
I had banana on my face.
With how I'd say emotionally intense. Like I was reading through like the lyrics on Bandcamp. It's like these
I
are
posted the lyrics.
you. Thank you. You did.
Except
I always assume that people don't, and when they do, it's like
forgot that I did.
Christmas. Yeah.
Except for Hard to Breathe.
That is there, but you just it opens a different page. For some reason, it's like when you buy a single, because you can technically buy just one song from an album. It's there. They're all there. But I was looking through that, like in the lyrics, and you almost wouldn't guess that from how like just kind of like upbeat and catchy and just like propulsive the music is. Was that just how like naturally the sound of the band came together? Because
I feel like that's kind of, to an
it's like a-
extent, Griffin and
Okay.
Alex.
Okay.
Because I feel like when Shannon and I were playing, they sounded more like, oh, this sad girl with sad songs and sad harmonies.
yeah,
Not like sad harmony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah.
But like Griffin kind of always does like that, like kind of like, and then Alex is also really high energy. So
Yeah.
I think it's just, it's not like there's any goal to do that. It's just like I feel like I write really like, kind of like, just like a lot of times they're just like kind of sad songs. They're
Yeah.
kind of a bummer to listen to, and then my bandmates make them really fast and sound happy.
Our bio on Instagram on Twitter for a long time was like, I write sad songs and my band makes them kind of sound happy. I feel like that describes our sound
Seriously.
really well.
Yeah.
We like to rock here, you know.
I know.
This is actually a really interesting thing, though. When you like, we were talking about how the newer songs are different in a way that like there's actually a lot more unity between us because we know what we want more because we've been playing for so much longer. It's kind of interesting to hear like that me and Alex make the songs sound more or like less sad and a little bit more poppy and jumpy. Because if you listen to the newer songs, like they sound a little more sad.
Like less the emotion.
They
kinda
still
come
go
through.
hard.
Okay.
And they're like slow burners, you
Well,
know.
there's some that are like very high energy still. But
Yeah,
there's,
but
like,
especially two of the new ones in particular, like they have a lot more of that. I mean, you know.
It'd be like that. Yeah. We don't need to reveal too much about stuff that isn't even recorded or out yet. Though I will keep this information to not myself because we released this to the internet. You recorded Teratoma with, or I guess at the time Empathy with Abe Anderson.
yes.
Talk about that because Abe is wonderful.
We went to Cannon Falls in, I believe, his parents' house.
Yep.
Garage.
Garage.
Which was
And
very cool.
It was so
really
nice.
nice.
We
Yeah.
recorded it in one day, and he was
Oh.
really, really wonderful. I was so stressed out because it's like the first time I'd been like doing an actual recording thing in a long time, and I felt so bad because he did such a like wonderful, helpful job like mixing for us, and I was like,
Yeah.
for like a month straight, and then I was like, listen, I'm sorry, dude. I'm just gonna pay you, and then we're gonna mix with, which I think I was just overthinking it too much because this was kind of like, it's the first time I've made like released music that is like my music,
Yeah.
and it was just very like, I was just very like, alright, just a specific thing in my head. But yeah, we recorded with Abe in one day, and then we did a second day in his house in Como, just me and Shannon, where we did like, there's one song that when we recorded it, I hadn't finished the lyrics. So we went and we did that, did some overdubs, and then, there was a third day where we also did like guitar overdubs.
Oh yeah, we did guitar stuff.
That was fun.
And he was really, really helpful. I don't know a lot about like tone stuff or like sound stuff at all, and he was very, very helpful and patient in like explaining it.
Yeah.
And there was a moment when we were recording one of the songs, and I just like walked out in the middle of recording it, just like have a nice cry, and he was just like cool with it.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and
Well,
Abe was like, is she okay? And we were just like, this happens. Like, like we were, he was like, you're also okay with this. Like, do we have to go check on her? And I was like, no. Like,
Let it
be.
be.
She'll come back.
she'll come back when she needs to. She just needs a minute. And Abe was just like,
Healthy boundaries.
All
Yeah.
right.
yeah.
Also, talking about Abe's house, he had a swing set, and
I
that
know, I
was
was gonna-
super sick.
Yeah.
That's all I have
Yeah.
to say.
I was gonna say that.
It was such a nice
it
environment.
was such a nice day. Like in the middle of like the sessions, we would just go on the swings for a little bit.
Yeah.
But there were like these really nasty black flies
Oh.
that were just.
I know, and then there are pictures of Griffin and Alex, like
With
with
our
their
shirts.
when their shirts up, and it's just like their heads and their sunglasses and like Griffin's big curly hair. It's like really funny.
Yeah.
Because we were getting eaten that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wore a sweater and pants, so I was not affected.
It was
You're prepared.
hot. I don't know.
And it's just really, I liked recording.
Yeah. How did you get connected with him in the first place?
I can't remember. So Devin told me to record with him because he had just recorded the Harper's Jar demos.
Devin from Harper's Jar.
Yeah, to clarify. And he's like, you should ask Abe because Abe is like extremely quick, extremely good, like very affordable. And I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew, I was like, let's do it. And yeah.
And also, everyone was nice. I don't know.
And then we mastered it also in Cannon Falls, which was an interesting twist because it was like there was a long pause between when it was recorded and when it was mixed. So Elijah Deatonberg or Datenberg, I'm so Elijah, if you're listening, I'm so sorry if I said your last name wrong. But he mixed it for us also in Cannon Falls, and it was cool. I like driving out there and doing that in a different physical spot.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's not too far away, but it's just far enough.
And we had Adam Tucker master it, and I've literally, I don't
Fantastic.
think I've ever met Adam Tucker. I just emailed him the stems, and he sent them back, and I said, cool.
You're like, cool. This is good now.
But he did an awesome job.
Yeah, for sure. He works with like everybody too. Kind of moving on from the specific EP. This might only be a question for Shannon, but you can clarify this, Emily. How do you balance being in more than one group at the same time? Because Emily, you're in Bruised Violet, but you might be on hiatus. So you don't know.
Kind of not really playing shows.
Yeah.
I haven't really played shows in like
I just
2
saw like there was
years,
like a
and I don't-
Facebook post. It's like, stop DMing us. I was like, oh, Bruised Violet's alive.
I don't know if we're gonna play any shows ever.
Okay.
again, but we will see.
We'll see. It's still open, and then
I don't know if it's still open because our Bella lives in a different country a lot of the time.
oh, that would do it. No, yeah. Oh wow, that is a big
Yeah.
squirrel. Sorry. And then I don't know if Alex or Griffin are you
Alex
right now.
is.
You are okay.
You can go first.
Okay.
Though.
Okay. Well, obviously
so-
Allergen. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm in a band called Allergen, and I'm kind of Emily's role in Allergen, where it's like I write it, and then I send it to the other members, and then they're like, okay, and then we go practice it, and then that's that. And I think it's really, I like it. I think it's really nice. I think like I kind of have like two different perspectives, and I primarily play bass. Like that's like what I usually play. But then I started, and I've played guitar for like kind of like what Emily's saying, where I just kind of played it, but no one really told me. Everyone always was like, you're not really good. So I never really worked on it. But then I work at a camp in the summer called Girls Rock and Roll Retreat, and I had to teach guitar, so then I had to get better at guitar because I was teaching it to children. And so over the summer, I like started picking it up a lot more regularly, and I got a lot better at it. And I was writing a lot of music because I was also in a really like transitional point in my life when like Bugsy started to like now. So I wrote like a ton of songs, and I was just like, I don't know what to do with these, and I want to perform them, and so I just started doing it. And I think it works pretty well. I think it's just like a lot of communication and a lot of like, this is what this is and this is what this is, and there's like
a delegation,
and there's a kind of like an overlap, and like I really am always just like, I have like a really full planner that I like organize. I brought it with me today because I was like, I need to talk to Emily to update it. But like I guess it's more just like a lot of time management and a lot of like, that's like, I mean, music is like what I want to do for the rest of my life. So when I care about it so much, so I feel like it's easy because I'm willing to put the time into it.
Yeah.
And then,
What band are you also in?
I'm in a band called Lida, but I kind of have like a very different perspective from Shannon, because Lida is like home base is Chicago, where I go to school. So like, admittedly, it's pretty easy. Like, just I'm in Chicago, I'm doing Lida things. I'm in Minneapolis, St. Paul, I'm doing Bugsy things. Like, it's just kind of like clear cut for me, which is like pretty sick.
That's easy. That's nice. Yeah. You said you've played in a bunch of different bands.
Well, yeah.
Are any of them active?
This is kind of something that I think is kind of cool about this band. But like, outside of Bugsy, like we all do the Bugsy, our Bugsy things.
Do the Bugsy, yeah.
But yeah, we're all very like individually like creative people in our own ways, in like independent ways. And you were talking about how's it tough, or like how does balancing those things work?
And just
It's
even
not
whether there's a planner or
well, and it's like, it's not that there's like, I'm not in any like active thing other than Bugsy right now, but like I'm like trying to learn how to play the harp on the low key.
Oh,
and I'm gonna be like trying to do some stuff with that in like the next couple of years. And the thing with that is it's like, it's not like how do you balance those things, because like as people, like I think we all like really have to have our own things too.
For sure.
And just like
it's like we're not in the same friend group. We don't like, we're all friends and we all hang out, but we all kind of have our own
things,
like little worlds and like lives, and they all overlap in music and in Bugsy.
But that isn't going to be it. Like there has to be individual stuff.
I mean, you know, I definitely put the most effort into Bugsy in a public sense, you know? I think a lot of, I mean, I don't know.
fair.
But it's like, yeah, we all do lots of stuff all the time because we love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be looking for you for harp guest spots on every forthcoming album.
Yeah, don't quote me on that, but get hype if it happens.
A harp solo.
Oh yeah, there's one video on the band page, or on the band Instagram, of me playing Careless Whisper on the harp. So if you guys want to see
only
that.
good song, so that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, harp. What's the
Sorry.
Dude, it sounds so sad.
I'm a little sorry for making this happen.
No,
but
that's
I wasn't
glad.
here
The
when that
best part
happened.
of that
I've never
video
heard,
is-
I've never heard that before.
The best part is Alex in the background going,
just processing
It sounds
blowing your
just, like,
mind.
tragic.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
The reason I try to speak a little lightly about that, because it's a difficult instrument.
Oh, for sure.
But you know, I'm getting there.
Yeah, it takes time.
when I met Griffin, he's like, I have to tell you, my lifelong dream is to get a harp and to learn it.
And he's doing it.
I'm
Yeah.
just
Living his dream.
But anyway.
We won't dwell on the harp for any
But
longer.
you know, I like it.
It's
You know,
good.
it's good. Just keep your eyes peeled.
Keep the eyes peeled.
Love
Okay. Last kind of music related thing is the video for Moody Knows Best. that was hand animated by you, Emily. Yeah.
Yeah, I have this
Yeah.
little frog, and
It makes Alex so uncomfortable.
Yo. I'm not trying to muddy the water, but like the part in the video where the frog like poops out the little like
that heart is
letters.
stuck in that frog
Yeah,
right now. I
it
can't
like
get it out.
it's such a cool video, but that part just makes me so uncomfortable. I'm just like watching a frog like poop pellets, and I'm like, this is.
Can't even watch your own music video. Yeah.
I just was like, I want to make a music video. And everyone's like, okay. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And it's like 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. And I just started taking a lot of pictures of a frog. And then I was like,
Oh.
it was like 10 p.m. And I was like, look what I made. And it was like 22 seconds long. And I was like, uh-oh, this is going to be a whole process, isn't it? So then I spent a couple of weeks taking photos of frogs, texting them to myself, opening it up on my laptop,
Yeah.
and then putting them onto iMovie.
Yeah, I think it's important to say, like, Emily puts a lot of work into, like, the merch, the video. She did the
Yeah.
whole video herself.
Yeah.
All of the tapes.
And the tapes are handmade.
hand
The tapes are
painted.
That's why we
handmade and
specifically
hand-painted.
requested them.
And like she makes the patches. She makes Emily's like I told this to her and she started crying. But Emily's like one of the most hardworking people I think I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
oh, oops! I hand animated a video
Yeah,
or
I'll get like
by
a-
myself.
Look what I made, and I was like, oh,
Oh,
when did you do this? She's like, oh, yesterday, today. I'm like,
Yeah, I asked her.
I've never done anything like that in my life.
Like a few days ago, I asked her. I was just like, "Is there a time when you do this stuff? Like when I could come help you?" And she's like, "No, it's just like 15 minutes when I'm off work, or like 15 minutes before I'm doing
Yeah.
whatever." I mean, you.
I mean, there's days where I'm like, okay, 3 days before the EP release show, I spent the entire 3 days painting tapes and then dubbing them, because when you dub a tape, you gotta like play the whole thing, turn it around, play the whole other side. So that means 40 minutes of dubbing on each tape.
Yep.
Plus painting it, you had to hand paint 2 coats on each side, wait for them to dry, hand paint the design on each side, wait for it to dry between doing the sides, and then do 2 coats of nail polish and wait for each of those to dry. So it was like,
Yeah, that's,
I'm not exaggerating when I say it was like a 3-day process, and there were only
Yeah.
16 tapes.
Well,
I should we could say that I did something really cool and like that it was like intentional and really DIY, but the reality is we didn't know we were gonna have a release until like a month ago, so I just didn't have time to like it was just the stars aligned. We had a show booked and I was like, let's make this our release because Alex is gonna be in town and we just got the masters back. Like
Yeah.
it was just kind of like a little bit impulsive.
but the result of that is these amazing, one of a kind, hand painted
They are
tapes.
Yeah.
beautiful.
one of them says "cuck" on it, which I think is really funny.
There's
Well,
this-
it was Gwen from Kissing Club. I was like losing it because I'd painted so many tapes and I didn't know what to do anymore. And I was like, Gwen, what should I paint? And Gwen was like, just write no cucks. And I wrote the word cucks and do an X on it, but it was so unbelievably ugly that I turned it into a bird. But then you can faintly see the word cucks underneath the bird. And yesterday,
Even
Griffin
better.
Griffin and Alex were like, I wonder who's gonna get the cuck tape.
Like years later, we're just gonna walk by somebody on the street. They're gonna be like, "I have one of your tapes," and I'm gonna be like,
be the
"Oh my God,
cocktail."
it's the cocktail."
it's gonna like end on like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something.
Well, there's a
the
funny
Bugsy cuck
There's
tape.
a funny story surrounding cucks because at our first show,
And
we
many
were
subsequent shows.
Okay, so yeah, and a few more. So a little backstory. One of my like friends is in a band, and she at a show she was like, "If you don't dance, you're a cop."
Yeah,
And I was like, "That's really funny. I'm going to use that." And I didn't tell anyone that I was going to do this, but like
what band? I feel like I've heard that. Sound.
Natalie Fiddler.
Yep.
Yeah. Natalie
Yeah.
Fiddler. But and like there's the song where I start playing it and it's on the EP. But it's the last song and I start playing drunk. And I start playing it and like I feel like at the beginning like that was like our 3 mutual favorite song because we
was,
always like
yeah.
be like da and like and so I was like Because then Milo was playing afterwards, and everyone's always like dancing during Milo, you know. And I was just like, if you don't dance, you're a cop. And for like everyone thought I said, if you don't dance, you're a cuck. And then like Griffin and Alex and I like weren't that close yet. And Griffin's mouth, he was just like.
Every single time she would say it, I would just look at Alex and be like, who is this?
Because for like a few months, I thought I was saying cuck every single
really
time.
did.
Ask?
What? Well, you know,
clarify?
we got there. We were just like,
eventually.
Shannon, why do you keep calling the entire audience a cuck?
it wasn't like that. I was just like, Shannon,
One
you know,
collective.
like you're really sweet, but like it's pretty badass and like punk when you call everybody a cuck.
If they don't
Like,
dance.
What are you talking about?
And they all dance for you anyway.
Yeah. They're all so afraid of being either a cop or a cuck. And
I was like,
want to
what are you
avoid
talking
those two
about, Griffin?
things.
Like, he was like, when you like before drunk, you're like, you say if you don't dance, you're a cuck, and I was like, that's not what I didn't even know what a cuck was.
Yeah, that was immediately followed by what's a cuck?
what is in store in the future for Bugsy? I know you've talked quite a bit already about new music that you've been working on. Just kind of letting the EP be out in the world for a little bit.
My goal is to do an album, like a full-length album, at some point. At least record it in the next year to 6 months. We have at least like more than half of like enough content written.
Songs like fully
So,
fleshed out. Yeah.
Yeah.
When they come out pretty quickly, you churn them out fast.
Well, I
you
go
know?
through periods where I churn out like 5 at a time, and then I don't write a song for 4 months.
I wouldn't be surprised if the album is stuff that I don't even know exists yet at this point, you know?
Yeah. That's how it is.
It's all happening, and it's all really, I mean, I love it all. We're going on tour.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm working
Yay.
on booking more like tour type stuff.
Yeah,
in the
just
summer.
Midwest?
Just trying to play as much as possible.
Yeah, no, what are
Create more music.
what are the tour dates? Where are we going in case there are any listeners?
It's not even a real tour. It's 3 days. It's like
But
That's a
still.
real
Milwaukee, Eau Claire, and Chicago.
Okay.
Anything more than 2 days is a tour.
Anything outside of Minnesota is a tour.
So when we play Duluth for one night, we're on tour. So this is like our 4th tour.
Our 4th international tour.
Wow.
We might go on a longer one during the summer, but
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah.
It's
when,
hard
when
to-
Alex is available.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like Alex living in Chicago. It's always just like
It's your fault.
it's not his fault. He's getting an education, and that's really important. And
Just drop out of school.
but
come
like yeah,
on. Don't listen to me.
But we have other people fill in.
yeah,
like,
big
for shows.
big shout out to our fill-in boy Colin.
Colin Johnson.
He rips.
Go.
We've also had Devin Ware fill in.
Oh yeah, we have had Devin rips too.
Cool.
I think those are the 2 people we've
Yeah.
had fill
Those
in.
are
We've
the
had a
only
couple
2.
people like try filling in.
You guys all rip.
I can't lose track.
No need to name names or recall that. The way I always end interviews is I ask bands what are their favorite like local and recent or not bands or like releases or like just sharing the love among like the scene or selfishly finding out about new bands that I've never heard of. But just like what have been some recent or otherwise like some local stuff you've been digging on? You can shout out Chicago because you technically live there most of the time.
That's true.
So maybe take this opportunity to get on your soapbox.
Yo, someone else start. I can't start.
Griffin Star.
Yeah, we could take a pause for people to check their Spotify.
I mean, I've got a lot of stuff. I mean, I think, you know, everybody will say this, like the big one for me is like Harper's Jar.
Yeah.
I love Harper's Jar. I remember the first time I saw Harper's Jar at the Paper House, I was like, how good can they be? And then they started, and I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I really love Harper's Jar. I think, like, honestly, like, I don't know, like, we all go to a lot of live shows. There's lots of cool bands that we go see, but, like, I think Harper's Jar probably put on some of my favorite live shows I've ever been to. I also really like Milo, and I know we're going on tour with them, but like Marmalade is awesome. There's a lot of good bands. Those are just like my faves right now, I think.
Yeah.
I must say, Bruise Violet was my favorite band. Bruise Violet was my favorite Minneapolis band for a really long time. I love Fourth Curtis. Their songwriting is really, like, Lex's songwriting is amazing, and like
so complicated but simple.
Yeah, right. It's amazing, and I've gotten to know them better this summer, and like getting to know them after listening to their music for so long was just like, wow, it was crazy. Gully Boys are also amazing.
Yeah.
Of course.
Harper's Jar.
I don't think we've gone a single interview without someone shouting out Gully Boys.
Gully Boys is
be
they're
honest.
amazing, and I think they're like. I saw Keep for Cheap for the first time live last night, and they were
Keep for
incredible.
Cheap.
Yeah.
Keep for Cheap is amazing,
so
and
good.
so is Kate Melanophy. Dad Bod. Callie Marino was one of the nicest people I think I've ever met in my entire life.
I like Keep for Cheap a lot. I like Kate Melanophy a lot. I like Harper's Jar a lot. I like Marm a lot. I used to really like Marm.
Marmalade.
Oh, dang. I used to really like the Happy Children. Rip.
Why would you even bring that up?
I'm sorry.
Speaking of Chicago bands, I really like. They played here like over the last summer. Thank you. I'm sorry. It was really good.
They just put out their
They just
full
put out
They're
their
kind of
full
half
album.
Minneapolis.
They're 2/3 Minneapolis technically.
Well,
the full band is, but it's mostly Colleen's project, and they're from Chicago.
And she's in.
They're
They're in Chicago. Yeah, no, don't apologize for that.
This is such a stressful question.
I'm
I
sorry.
don't know why
No.
it's stressful. But there's so many like good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We'll add like a
And then
caveat, and also every other
and
band
also
that wasn't named.
everyone was like, not like everyone was named, but I was like, oh yeah, that is. You're right. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Harper's Jar is fantastic. Kwani is really good.
Kwani.
I just, really good. Milo's really good.
Milo's awesome.
Shout out the new song. Yeah.
Yeah, Marmalade. I keep. It's like hard to. It's, now I'm like stuck in like the like bands we mentioned, and like I'm trying to like think like broader. Like what bands have I seen that? And I feel so bad because I know there's so many good people.
Mad Boss released a new
EP
recently.
yesterday.
Finally.
Today, yeah. And they're
Today or
also-
yesterday. Yeah.
They're also really,
It's so
really,
good.
really
It's so freaking good.
And they're like so kind. Like
Yeah.
some of like the nicest people also.
Yeah. Brain and Aaron are killer.
Yes.
They're so good. Well, thank you so much to Bugsy.
Thank
Their
you.
new EP, Terratora. What? I just realized. I had a stroke. Teratoma, excuse me, is out everywhere. Buy it on Bandcamp, stream it. Want to shout out your socials? Just make
It's
a good
just
ending.
Bugsy band everywhere.
Bugsy Band.
Come to our show. Buy the really nice tapes.
Buy the
The
handmade
really
tapes.
nice tapes might be gone.
Well, thank you again.
The Ear Coffee Podcast is a companion to the blog of the same name. If you like this episode, please leave us a rate and review so we can stand out among the other music podcasts. You can follow us at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @EarCoffee. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.